want to start with overselling a position. So, Mr. Kelleher, in the previous hearing, and I think Mr. Luke DeMeyer was right on point, and I really want to understand this area. In the previous hearing, I asked Mr. Plotkin of Melvin Capital whether his firm was ever naked short selling on GameStop stock. And he said, no, the systems won't even allow that. That would be impossible for us to do. Yet according to a report from Bloomberg Government, which analyzed the SEC data, $359 million of GameStop shares failed to deliver or be covered, suggesting many of the shares had been borrowed more than once. I think Mr. Plotkin's testimony was truthful, but can you explain what's happening when so many shares fail to deliver?
Sure. Thank you for your question. The current regulation only requires broker-dealers to have a reasonable, or institutional investors have a reasonable ground to believe the security can be borrowed, so that it can be delivered on the delivery date. So it's a reasonable belief. Now, I don't know about Mr. Plotkin's system, although it sounded like a pretty good system when he said it, which is he says unless his firm has identified, in fact, the security and to have it deliverable, it doesn't even allow them to short a position. But that's not actually the law, as I understand it. As I understand it, it's a reasonable belief, and that people can have a lot of reasonable beliefs. And we have massive failures to deliver of GameStop stock in January. So not only do we have a short position that exceeds about 140% of the available float at the time, but then subsequently we have a massive failure to deliver those securities at the time of delivery. So, and I'm sure, as Mr. Piwowar said earlier, the SEC is looking carefully at this, and I would expect their report to provide us with a lot more information. But as of right now, the publicly available information certainly indicates that there's a very high likelihood of some abusive short selling by somebody.